Welcome to SU 2020. I want to share with you, I live around about 4 miles from here. I've been at Cal for about 14 years. And I'm really proud to be at Cal. It's a public university. And driving here today, I saw 4 groups of little kids. Preschoolers and elementary school kids. I have no idea why. 4 separate groups with Cal pom-poms, Cal shirts, screaming on the streets, Cal, Cal. I have no idea why. It's not Cal Day or anything else. But it's that kind of enthusiasm for a public university that makes me really, really pleased to be here and to welcome you. We take seriously the public part of our mission to help our communities, and that's in part what we're doing here. So let me just give you a little context. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My 2 colleagues up here will introduce ourselves, and then we'll get right to the clients and what we're about today. So again, I'm Laura Silver. This is our 13th year of Social Sector Solutions, a partnership between UC Berkeley and McKinsey & Company. We've served over 100 clients on 118 projects, 684 student consultants, and 87 McKinsey coaches. Some have moved from being team members or student team leads to being at McKinsey as consultants and now to being coaches. So it's really a partnership that has worked. But more than the numbers, I think what we're proud of is our results. So I just want to give you three ideas, 3 examples, so that you know you can be one of these next year. So one is Acumen, an impact investing firm that works around the world and has come to us twice. And their first question was, looking at poverty rising in the U.S., should we expand to serve the United States? And in fact, the answer was yes. It was a model to do it. They've now invested in at least 15 impact investing clients in the U.S. Another example is Safe and Sound. It's the San Francisco Child Abuse Prevention Council came to us with a very, very tough question. Can you estimate the financial cost of child abuse in San Francisco? We had a team that did that. They developed a methodology. It went statewide, so Safe and Sound did this for the state of California, and that has influenced California policy. Third example, Education Pioneers. Anyone know Education Pioneers? No, okay. So this is a group that takes non-education people and trains them and puts them into educational leadership opportunities. And they came to us, they started in the San Francisco Bay Area, very, very successful here, and they said, how do we expand nationwide? And we gave them a tool, we gave them a framework and an interactive tool. They're now in 13 cities across the US, and they're still using that tool. That's the kind of success we're looking for. It's something real that happens in the world because of all of our work together. I want to say that every year is different in SQ. We have different clients, we have different students. None of us knows what happens, okay? This is really going at it all together. This year, we have 7 clients, we'll introduce in a minute, ranging from very local to international, working on issues from poverty alleviation to land rights, economic development, gun safety, venture philanthropy, access to and higher education, so a whole span. And we're so proud, as I was driving up here thinking about coming to this kickoff, I think we're so privileged that we all have a chance to work on these kinds of issues with organizations that make a difference in the world and that help us to be better problem solvers so that all of us can go out and be more effective in the world. So, again, I'm Laura Silver. I'm the founder of the Center for Social Sector Leadership here at Haas and at Berkeley. I teach this course and a course on social movements. Important for you to know about me is that I come from the world of practice. I founded or ran 3 different nonprofits before coming to academia. Joe, my co-instructor, Joe Doherty.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe Doherty. I've been teaching at Cal for about 6 years, including I think 2 or 3 versions of this class with a bit of a hiatus, so I'm really excited to come back into it. I also teach a class on leading nonprofit organizations and a class appropriately on strategy consulting for social impact here at Cal. That's my part-time gig, my side hustle. My day job is I'm a partner at a social impact consulting firm called Dahlberg Advisors, which incidentally was founded by two consultants from McKinsey back in 2001, and has since grown to be about 450 people in 15 countries. And I'm based in our San Francisco office here. So I know some of you, some of the client organizations, and really excited to be working with you, and really excited to be working with our student teams. This is not only a terrific learning opportunity for them to learn both consulting and how nonprofits in the social sector work, but also a great opportunity for us to give back and for our students to be contributing to the success of these organizations. So thanks for coming, we're really excited. And with that, let me turn to my colleague, Mark Singer.
Hi, I'm Mark Singer. I'm a partner at McKinsey in San Francisco. There are several of us at McKinsey in San Francisco who for several years have been coaches for the teams that do the important work that you are about to undertake here if it's your first time. My primary mentor at McKinsey, Paul Jansen, normally is part of this program, and it's fair to say he's a co-creator of this program with you, Laura. He's a Cal undergrad, as am I. We are very committed to the words you see up here on the wall, particularly Beyond Yourselves, which is a large part of why we're here. So I will leave it at that. So we can get to the important.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. There are clients. We're going to hear from all of you in a minute. Just want to give you some context and set some expectations for what the next 15 weeks are going to look like and what today is going to look like. So, agenda. We are right now about to go into the roles and responsibilities. We're going to hear from the clients. We're going to answer any questions that you have. We're going to attempt to take a picture of everyone out here before it gets dark, and then you're going to meet in teams. So we want to get you the information you need here, and then the other important part is meeting with your team for the first time. You have in your packet a long sheet of roles and responsibilities. It's kind of your reference sheet. Do you not have that? You do not have that. Okay, never mind. We will send it to you. There are a list of roles and responsibilities. It's kind of like your cheat sheet, if you will. When you're in the middle of this, you say, well, who do I contact for this, or who do I contact for that? It will tell you who to contact. But right now, I just want to go over the high level. So you've heard from Joe and me, instructors, okay? The key relationship here is between the team and the client. That's why the heart's there. All the rest of us are in support of you. A critical piece of this, I mentioned the partnership with McKinsey, but we each have a McKinsey coach. Each of your teams has a McKinsey coach. Mark, you want to say a little bit about why people are doing this and what they're doing?
Sure. Well, our folks are excited to be helpful to you. As Nora said earlier, some of you decided to be actually interested in joining us, which is not a bad thing from our perspective. But the main thing is that we really do feel like this is important work, and we're not here to tell you what the answer is or exactly how to do it, but to be coaches as a result of having worked in a lot of consulting projects over time.
Okay. And with that, we're going to ask the clients to introduce yourselves. Two of our clients, one is in Singapore and one is on the East Coast. We're going to start with our Singapore client, our East Coast client, to talk to you.
That's the Brady Center, and this one we're doing right by way of video.
Hi, I'm Liz Benning. I'm Brady's VP of Development. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Brady, and then my colleague Chris is going to tell you a little bit about the project that we're so excited that you're working with us on. Brady has one powerful mission: to unite all Americans against gun violence. We work across Congress, courts, and communities with over 90 chapters each month, bringing together young and old, red and blue, and all their goals in between, to find common ground and the common sense. We work with lawmakers to close loopholes in current gun laws and pass new legislation at the local, state, and the national level. For more than 30 years, Brady's legal team has been leading the nation as the only law group fighting on behalf of victims and communities to prevent gun death. We're tackling this epidemic with real-world solutions, including education and dialogue around responsible gun ownership. accomplish the impossible with the Brady law. Since then, we've fought for 45 years to take action on signs. We know more work needs to be done, and progress is often slow. But history has also showed us that it's needed on hand.
Hi, I'm Krista Kovacs, Director of Development here at Brady, and I'm so excited to be partnering with all of you at Social Sector Solutions. The project that we're going to be working on with you guys is a deep dive into our direct mail program. So direct mail is one of the most reliable, but also very most cumbersome revenue channel that we have. And so we're looking to you guys to do some benchmarking analysis and make some recommendations that will help us improve this program, make it more effective, efficient, hopefully raise more money, but also enable us to take some of the cost that we were putting towards this direct mail and reallocating it to some of the programs that need it more. So very excited to see what you guys find and looking forward to getting started.
And then we'll go to Landesa, if I've pronounced it correctly.
Very close.
Landesa. Yeah.
I'm very happy to be here. So I'm Chris Jochnick, CEO of Landesa. Our mission is working to alleviate poverty and provide prosperity and social justice through land rights. There's three basic things we know about most of the world's poor today. They are rural, they depend on land to survive, and they don't have secure legal rights to that land. And if you don't have secure rights to your land, it creates a whole host of dysfunction. The insecurity that comes with that means you don't invest in the land, it can be taken away very easily. If you're a woman, your status is immediately defined by the fact that you can't own or inherit land. And so there's a whole host of issues that we work on, but fundamentally we do it by working with governments to change laws to help smallholder farmers and women have the rights to own and inherit and pass along their land. We've been at it for about 50 years now. We're the largest group of our kind, although we're not that large. We're about 150 staff. And we've worked with over 50 governments, and it's a very effective model. Last year, we worked with the Chinese government to make changes to their laws that will affect 500 million people, and we do that with a very light staff. One of the things that we've struggled with over the years is how to fund Landesa, because there are not many organizations, foundations, that have property rights or land rights divisions. There's practically none. Our network was the only one that used to have it, and they no longer fund property rights at a specific channel. And so we always have to find new ways of attaching land rights to other issue areas so that we can continue to generate funding. And one of the big ones right now is climate change. And so we are out to figure out how do we penetrate the whole climate change dialogue to insist that land rights are absolutely fundamental. If communities or farmers own their land, they become better stewards. We know that. There's a very good case for the fact that you have to start with secure land rights if you're going to protect forests and deal with conservation generally. And we're trying to make that case and then also trying to find out how we can channel more money into the sector of land rights and more money for Landesa. And that's largely a communications challenge. And so we've asked the team here to think about how we can better frame the issues and find those points of traction within the development community and the donor community to bring land into that climate change dialogue. Thank you.
All right, and then we go to Lead Philanthropy, which I believe is our next.
Yeah, sort of a quick intro and then a little slideshow.
Hi everyone, this is Lead Philanthropy from Singapore. My name is Nanami Witherspoon. And I'm Devani Dennison. Sorry we can't be there physically with you today, so we prepared this short deck to share our excitement and our work. We are very looking forward to working with you, Nancy and her team. Bye!
The representative from the Common App come up and tell us a little bit about your situation. Common App?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good afternoon. Very happy to be here to support the Common App and to work with this great organization as we try to solve a question that we have. But first of all, I'm going to guess based on the demographic in the room, everybody may have used the Common App at some point in their life or is at least aware of the Common App. So we actually help close to 1.2 million students through the application process to get to the college or university they would like to attend. We have historically been a organization that has had members, because we're a member-based organization, members that are four-year institutions. Our membership criteria do not prohibit community colleges from being members of our organization, but the services that we provide right now are probably a little bit more tailored to four-year institutions. So one of the things that we have been trying to identify is what types of services can we provide to community colleges as well as community college-bound students. So the question...
Hi, everyone.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
That's okay. Really disembodied voice. So, are we going to go to the?
No,
or should we
no.
stay live? Let's stay live. And so the question that we're asking the team, really, we have sort of two questions. One is to sort of do somewhat of a comprehensive review of the community college environment and how we might be able to support it. But then, even more important, we've got close to 2 million students that actually come in and create an account within the Common App. And there's several 100,000 students that don't end up completing an application. We believe, based on some initial data evaluation, that some of those students are going to community colleges. Unfortunately, some of those students might be going to proprietary colleges and universities. So what we're really about at Common App is helping students make their way to the next step in higher education. And in this case, thinking about how students might make their step to community college if a four-year institution isn't for them. So we're really excited about participating in the team. Anything else I'm supposed to do?
No, that was great. Thank you.
The East Bay Economic Development Alliance.
Good afternoon, I'm Stephen Bader. I'm the Executive Director of the East Bay Economic Development Alliance. My colleague Sion from our team is here too. Goldman alum, I know. So, but here, our project, we're a regional economic development organization that, as our name implies, support the East Bay region, which we're in here now, which we define as Alameda and Contra Costa counties. We have about 150 members, almost equally distributed between business, public, and nonprofit entities, with a few other categories scattered in, like labor, research institutions, and others. And our organization's actually been around for 30 years. And as we look at our 30th year anniversary right now, with really a brand new team that includes myself, less than a year on the job, with a large board, we're really trying to sort of figure out what does the next 10 years look like for the organization, and how do we really elevate and amplify our value proposition, both to our members, but to other constituents in the region. Because we really have a broad set of stakeholders that are not only defined by our members, but primarily defined by our members. And so what do we really do at the end of the day? We focus on things around business climate, education and economic vitality and talent, land use and housing and infrastructure, and things around international trade and a handful of other issues. And so part of what we're hoping that the team can help us address is, on a comparative basis, what do other organizations like us really do to help cement and solidify their role in the region? What kinds of things can we expand upon, like original research and reports, which we do now? What types of things we do around our events that can be more impactful and beneficial to folks that we're touching and connecting with across the area? So in short, we've got a pretty broad sweeping things, but we're in a great position to really take this on and kind of help the vision in the next 10 years and bring those recommendations to our board in the spring.
We support and invest in social enterprise in Southeast Asia, and our goal is to lift low-income rural households from the poverty. The Center for the Lens of the organization in Singapore. We support and invest in social enterprise in Southeast Asia, and our goal is to lift low-income rural households from the poverty line in a self-sufficient and sustainable manner. Impact of these projects are broadly measured in three different ways. First being breadth, which covers the quantitative aspect, which measures the number of people reached. Second is depth, or a qualitative measure, looking at how a service affects the household and contributes to a positive change. The third is we are first and foremost manufacturers who are working with enterprises and are highly selective on who strategic partners. These efforts are currently focused in Southeast Asia, specifically Cambodia, Myanmar, and most recently Indonesia. A few examples of our projects include the wash which provides access to clean water in Cambodia, Ibis Rice, an ethically driven enterprise working with Cambodian farmers to produce organic rice, as well as Paddy, a P2P agriculture-focused funding platform that empowers farmers across Indonesia. So, why have we applied for this project with HUB? It's because we are ambitious. Please see graph on the right. To date, we've reached about 170,000 people. Our ambitious goal is to reach 1 million people by 2025. Why? It's to make bigger impact. Because there are huge market demand from both households and SMEs waiting for funds. And also as an organization, we want to grow to the next level. Therefore, our simple yet big ask, we would love for HUB team to develop innovative, out-of-the-box ideas to reach our goal by 2025. Our expected deliverable is an implementable business plan. I hope this is an exciting enough project for Mandy's team, and we are very looking forward to start working with you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
So next we have the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy.
Hi there, I'm Diane Maley. I'm from the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy. And for those of you who may not be familiar with us, the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy is the nonprofit partner to our national park here, the Golden Gate National Parks. And I'm sure, or I hope, many of you have visited our park, maybe Alcatraz, Muir Woods, Crissy Field, Ocean Beach, or any of the other 80,000 acres from Marin Headlands down to Maury Point in San Mateo. And we have the distinction of being the most visited national park in the country. We actually dropped down to number 2 last year, but this year we're back up to number 1. And we are also the world's largest urban park. So those are some pretty significant distinctions, but really one of the most important things about our park is we're also held as an innovator for other national parks around the country and around the world, actually. I really didn't know this until I started working with the national park system, and it's a little bit inside baseball, but really from Washington to every park, from the big ones, from Yosemite to Grand Canyon, down to the smaller ones of the over 700 parks in the system, we're really seen as a leader, and other parks look to us as some of the practices and models of innovation that not only we implement in our park, but we share with other parks. So, it may not be a surprise then that the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy has an incubator within it called the Institute at the Golden Gate, and that's what I'm the director of. And we're looking at how parks, particularly urban parks, can be more innovative, beyond recreation and beyond conservation, but really a cornerstone of social innovation. And one of the areas that we've been looking at is the area of parks and health. And we know, because there has been literally hundreds, if not thousands, of studies that demonstrate that benefit, the health benefit, both the social and individual health benefit that parks provide. In fact, there was a study from an Australian economic group at the end of last year that pointed to over $6 trillion of benefit each year national parks around the country provide in health benefits, particularly in mental health issues. So our question, and why we're so excited to be working with our team here, is how can we tap in to the power of parks being a health benefit, and how can we get healthcare providers, practitioners, policymakers, and especially payers to prescribe and utilize parks as a health resource.
Our final is a remote project description. Is this correct? For the Learning by Giving. They're here. Learning by Giving Foundation.
Just threw in a curveball. How's it going, everyone? My name is Will Charman here on behalf of the Learning by Giving Foundation. We're located out of Boston, but I'm here. I'm actually on the West Coast out of San Diego. Learning by Giving Foundation. Our mission is to educate a new generation of philanthropists and community leaders to give and invest capital within the local community. So I'm just going to break that down a little bit. So we educate and train a new generation. So we partner and work with around 50 colleges and universities, one of which is Cal. So the undergrads should take our class. And a high school actually out in California, where there is an accredited course taught within the school, centered around philanthropy or nonprofits. It's taught in many, many different disciplines, from English to business to sociology, kind of all over the map. And so at those schools, students in those classes, and we are primarily focused on young people, have the opportunity not only to learn about the issues impacting their local communities, but to distribute actual capital. So all our students distribute at least $10,000 through their classes to local nonprofits in their community. And so to date, we have given right around $3 million to right around 300 nonprofits across the country, from Alaska to Louisiana to Boston, where we're located out of, to right down the road from here. And so our organization, you know, it's been around for about 16 years, but it really kind of started out as a program within another foundation. And several years ago, our founder seeded us $5 million to start our own organization. And over the past several years, we've really started to become an organization. We've hired a professional staff, myself included. We built out kind of our systems. We built out our structures and organization. And as we've done that, we have started to dwindle down that initial seed gift. And so over the last year, what we've really realized is we need to really focus on the revenue side of our business and start generating revenue. So the reason we're here is to focus on that and to build a sustainable plan for our revenue. And we are really focused on three main things. What are the right revenue sources and streams for our organization? What is the right mix of those? And what is the staging at which a 4-person organization should start to try to really attain some of those revenue targets? So we are super, super excited to work with not just our team, but be a part of this program. And thank you all.
Okay, so let's get into brass tacks and what to expect on all of these projects. We're all launching at the same time, ending at the same time. The trajectory that they take will be different in most ways, but similar probably in one way, which is the happiness cycle. Now you've heard of the lifetime happiness cycle. In my experience, I think my McKinsey colleagues would probably agree, there's a pretty typical cycle that clients and teams go through with respect to their happiness. And one of the first lessons in consulting is about aligning expectations, right? So unlike, say, doing a house renovation where you could measure and specifically define and quantify what you're going to deliver, consulting by its nature delivers something a little amorphous. What does an implementable business plan mean? What does a comprehensive competitive landscape mean? So agreeing on that is part of aligning expectations. And so in the spirit of aligning expectations, we wanted to let you know about this curve in advance so that when you're at the bottom of it, you're not too depressed. So what happens is, we're all excited. We're all excited today. We're happy. The clients are happy that they're getting this team of smart students to focus on a problem that's really mission critical for them. The students are happy because they get the opportunities to work with such exciting and impactful clients. We're even happy because we love teaching this class and we love working with all of you, and that's great. And now the hard work begins. And the first cycle, or the first few weeks of the class, is mostly our students bothering me, coming in and asking lots and lots of questions. Now, they will do their homework in advance, so they won't be asking you as clients questions that they can Google or find on your website. But as they absorb all that information, which is a lot to absorb, which kind of makes them a little unhappy temporarily, they'll be asking you lots of questions. Well, why is this happening? Why do you do it this way and not that way? They'll be learning your language. The language of land titling and land rights is quite specific, for example. So what do we mean? What is the difference between land titling and land rights, for example? So they'll be coming up to speed. And you may be thinking, gosh, you know, I'm hoping to get a lot of value out of this, but right now it feels like I'm giving rather than getting. So bear with us while they get up to speed. That will help them address your concern and be of value to you. There will be missteps. There will be times when our teams come to you and say, here's something we think, and they'll get it wrong because there was something that you both missed that either that wasn't communicated between the two parties, or an idea that at first is really shocking and really out of the box. You know, Nozomi and her colleague asked for specifically for out of the box ideas. Well, by definition, those are sometimes challenging. I used the anecdote in our first session this week of a client I had here in Berkeley who wanted to do something similar to LEAP, really exponentially supercharge their impact. And we said, stop being a product company, start doing advocacy. They hated that because advocacy sounded like lobbying to them. Yuck, ew, I even want to take a shower after that. And they came back another time and called it market building. Basically convincing people to spend money on the subject matter they were interested in. And they loved that. Market building worked, whereas advocacy didn't. Same problem, you know, same thing we were recommending. So there will be challenges. There will be miscommunications. There will be things that our teams recommend or suggest that may not be comfortable. You will ask them for more than they have time to deliver. So there will be some questions around scope. We have a term for that in consulting. It's called scope creep. And it's usually a sign of success. The team is delivering answers, they're giving you information that's useful, and you're going to keep asking them more questions. And we encourage our teams to focus on what's most useful, even if that's a little different than what you had intentionally agreed. But realize that the teams have limited time. And the feedback that we consistently get, I think, over the years on this course is really great, really valuable, a whole lot of work. And so recognize that teams are working very hard, and teams recognize that you're going to be working very hard. So all of this kind of conspires to cause some stumbling or some frustration or a little bit of unhappiness. Then at some point, typically a little bit before the midpoint of the project, we get into our groove. We're speaking the same language, we're aligned on expectations, we're focused on what's most important to the client, and that's been clear. The team knows enough about the context. They've done interviews internally with your organization, with counterparts, your competitors, clients, etc., that they can engage in a really informed, fruitful discussion with you. And now we see the happiness curve start to ramp up. And then ideally, with support from the McKinsey coaches and from Nora and myself, we end up here, where both the teams and the clients are really stoked and really happy at the end of the cycle. It's not always linear, and it's not always aligned. Often the teams are really happy when the clients aren't, or the clients are really happy. Often, the teams are really tired by the time we get to the midterm because they've been working to put together this progress review and to really front load their progress. So often you're really happy when you receive that, and the teams are a little burned out at that point. So just recognize that there's going to be differences, and there's going to be a non-linear path, if you will, to getting to a really good result. But I'm quite confident with the caliber of the students that we have, the caliber of the clients we have, and the track record of this program, that eventually we'll get there. You can look on the website. We've gotten very good reviews from clients in the past, and we have every reason to believe that this year will be no less successful than past years. So a couple of thoughts from former clients on how to manage those ups and downs and that nonlinear process. First is early on, recognize that the team is going to be bugging you for information. Ad nauseum, it will feel like. They're going to be asking lots of questions. Some of them will seem impertinent. You know, why didn't you do this? You know, why are you having problems fundraising? You know, have you thought about this? And some of those questions will frankly feel challenging. And just recognize that the students are asking them, the teams are asking those with the best of intentions. They're really trying to to uncover what's going on. You know, not just the specific objective or question you've given them. Give us an implementable business plan to reach a million people, help us figure out direct mail, whatever it is. But the why. Why do we want this? What's happening in the context of the organization? Really important. So just appreciate that, and please be patient with the teams as they get up to speed. Second, on an ongoing basis, touch base. It's again, I think my colleagues from McKinsey would agree that it's almost impossible to over-communicate. So the teams will be proactive in communicating their progress with you. Typically a very quick, weekly, here's what we did last week, here's what we're going to do next week, here's some initial findings, does this sound right, are we on the right track? And here's some questions, or frankly concerns. Hey, we've called your guy 3 times and he hasn't gotten back to us, can you please ask him to call us back? Or we asked for this bit of material, we're not getting it, etc. That sort of thing. So staying in touch and really spending time, you know, it's trite to say the more you invest, the more you'll get out of it, but it's certainly true here that the more time you are able to give the teams and the more, not so much time, but focus, right? And really support them, that'll come back and stay. Be a demanding client. So it's not all about humoring the teams and giving them the information they need, but push them, you know. Great, you've told us X, but so what? Clients, ask the question, so what? What does this mean? Or how? How do we do this? Really push the teams to be specific and thoughtful in their recommendations, their findings. Once we get through the midterm review in a few months' time, go back to that first document, the scoping letter, which will be finalizing in the next week or so, which is really the project charter. Check that out again after the midterm review. Just have a look, and is this still relevant? You know, we've had projects in the past which have undergone fairly radical changes because the external context has changed, and the you know, Golden Gate, let's hope tomorrow gets a $1 zillion grant from the government to work with mental health organizations, right? Okay, now we don't need to do that anymore. Let's go think about something different. Or, God forbid, a crisis happens. Some new problem takes urgency, and then maybe you need to shift that scope. That's fine. That happens all the time in consulting, but we just need to be very clear about that and make sure that what the teams deliver at the end of the day is really helpful and relevant and implementable, using Zoe's words. Finally, at the end of the project, you know, you're investing in this, time and money, and as are the teams. So sit down and think about, how do we use this? You know, we really want to make sure that this work and this time we're spending together over the next 15 weeks is really and truly valuable to you all as organizations. And so that means it's not just a nice report that sits on the shelf. How do you do this? And if this means we need to come back and answer some questions or brainstorm with you, that's fine. But really spend some time in May thinking through, okay, the team has delivered all this great content, these recommendations, how are we going to use this going forward? Any questions? Does this make sense, or any other advice or observations? All right, let's move on. Okay, coming back to logistics, we have our kickoff today, we're here. I mentioned the scoping letter or engagement letter. That's the team's first graded deliverable or product, and very important. It's going to lay out our understanding of the objective or the key questions you're asking our teams. It's going to talk a little bit about the context to get that conversation started. It will talk about their approach and timing, you know, how many interviews they're going to do, what the scope is, what types of potential funders they're looking at, etc. What level of detail they're going to analyze data in, for example. And it will talk about deliverables. So again, a comprehensive analysis of X or Y, an implementable business plan. What specifically does that look like? Is it in PowerPoint or Word? Is it 10 slides or 50 slides? Those types of questions are answered in the engagement letter. Again, to align expectations, make sure we start off on the right foot. Then there's a bunch of hard work in February. Again, all these questions and answers that I mentioned are happening. Around mid-March, we have the progress review. Those are ideally in person, obviously not for Brady and Leap, but they'll be live, by Zoom or whatever. Nora and I will be participating in those and watching the teams and giving them both guidance up front and feedback after the fact. But that's your opportunity as clients to really ask the hard questions, make sure we're on the right track. And teams, it's your opportunity to do the same, to really start to test potential recommendations or options with your client, to ask the hard questions and to make sure we're on the right track. So pencil that into your calendars, please. Then we go back to more hard work through March into April. The week of May 4th are the final client presentations, again in person or at least live. Again, Nora and I will be there. We ask the teams to do dry runs, so rest assured clients that there is a lot of preparation and thoughtfulness that goes into these client presentations. And we would ask you to show up in an informed way, to do the pre-readings that are sent, and again, to make sure you're really getting maximum value out of these assignments, to be present, make sure that the relevant people are in the room and that you're present for those final presentations, that you're asking thoughtful and hard questions. And then finally, we'll have a reception. And McKinsey's kind enough to host this for us shortly after the final presentation, just to come together again like we did today. And there'll be presumably cheese and crackers and food again, so that's something to look forward to. And we'll just share lessons. Oh, and by the way, one thing I wanted to mention, during these periods where the teams are hard at work, they're not working in silos. Actually, they are working. They're working right there in these silos. These dividers come out, we have literal silos for the teams. But conceptually, they're not working in silos. Nora and I bring them together and we share lessons across the teams. So Brady is thinking about a strategy for fundraising. Maybe there's some lessons for Lendes in there, or for learning by giving, etc. There's even if you're in very different spaces, there's certain approaches to problem solving, to dealing with challenging client situations or challenging political dynamics that can be shared across projects, and we really proactively encourage that. So you all get the opportunity to learn from each other. And hopefully we share some of that, and there's some good networking and some sharing that takes place among the clients directly in our final reception. And it's generally a lot of fun. We're hopefully ending up at the end, at the high end of that happiness curve, and we can celebrate together at the end of the period in May. Okay.
All right, so in a minute, Stephanie's going to direct us to where we go for your team breakouts. This is what we're asking you to do. Introduce yourselves, talk about the problem again, get the scope right. What are any constraints on the solutions? Let the team know now, these are the parameters, right? Or this is where we'd like you to focus. You want to come out of here with a plan for your working arrangements. We're going to talk on the phone every Friday, 2 p.m. These are the people who are going to be on it. These are the lines we're using. When's the midterm? When's the final? And how you're going to work together over the course of the 15 weeks, right? Okay, contact information, go ahead. We're going to send you to the clients now. We're going to send you a packet with this PowerPoint presentation so you can contact Joe or me at any time. I want to make really clear to you, we are available. We're meeting with the teams at least every Tuesday night. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact us directly. The other thing I want to make clear is your McKinsey coaches will be working with your teams. So clients don't expect to be contacted or to contact your McKinsey coaches. They're really there for the team, so don't be surprised by that. Okay? We'll send you we'll send you a list of roles and responsibilities that I referenced earlier, and we'll send you a contact list. In case there's a client, another client that you heard from, that you're interested in hearing more from, please feel free to contact one another. And here are the breakout rooms. Stephanie, would you come here?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, almost time to get together and talk about all your projects. I know you've been waiting, but before that, I want to ask you to please, sorry, this needs to be closer, to please all go outside because we want to take a really cool team picture of everybody. We're also going to do team pictures separately during this last hour of the event. We'll come and get you for that. There's one team, the Landesa team, which we are going to escort to another location to make sure everybody has enough space and privacy to talk about their projects. So, oh, there's another thing. There's food and drinks in the back. Please eat it and drink it. And then now let's all go outside and have our picture.